They told you selfishness is evil, but what if I told you the highest form of selfishness is the key to peace, joy, and success? The kind of selfishness that doesn't destroy, it creates. The kind that doesn't take from others, it gives life back to you. We live in a world that has conditioned us to believe that selfishness is a vice. From childhood, we are told that thinking about ourselves first is wrong, that it makes us arrogant, unkind, unworthy of love. But have you ever paused to consider that maybe there is a different kind of selfishness, one that isn't rooted in greed but in growth, a form of selfishness that is so powerful it transforms your life and, in turn, the lives of everyone around you? This, my friends, is the highest form of selfishness. The highest form of selfishness is not about hoarding wealth, climbing over others, or indulging in endless pleasures. It is about choosing yourself, choosing your peace, your healing, your growth, and your authenticity. It is saying, I will no longer betray myself just to please the world. When you practice this kind of selfishness, you become a person who no longer lives for applause, but for alignment. You no longer act out of fear of rejection, but out of love for truth. This is the selfishness that sets you free. Why is it the highest form? Because it demands courage. It demands that you put your well-being above the opinions of others. It demands that you walk away from people who drain you, environments that diminish you, and habits that destroy you. At first, people may label you as cold, distant, or prideful. But in reality, what you're doing is learning to pour into yourself before you pour into others. A glass that is empty cannot quench the thirst of another, and a soul that is starving cannot nourish anyone. True selfishness is filling your own glass first. Think about it. How many times have you said yes to things you wanted to say no to just to avoid disappointing others? How many times have you sacrificed your mental health, your dreams, and your rest just to keep up appearances? That isn't love, that's self-neglect disguised as kindness. And when you neglect yourself, you eventually break down. You burn out. You become resentful. You lose your spark. That's not noble, that's tragedy. The highest form of selfishness is refusing to live like that. Instead, it is about setting boundaries unapologetically. Boundaries are not walls, they are gates. They don't shut people out, they protect what's sacred within you. When you declare, this is what I will allow and this is what I won't, you are not being cruel, you are being responsible for your own soul. The world may resist your boundaries, but eventually they will respect them. And more importantly, you will respect yourself. The highest form of selfishness also means honoring your calling. Too many people bury their dreams under the weight of other people's expectations. They choose careers they hate, relationships that suffocate them, and lifestyles that don't reflect their truth. Why? Because they fear being labeled as selfish. But here's the reality: living a life that is not yours is the most selfish act of all, because you rob the world of the authentic you. You rob the world of the gift that only you can give. When you embrace your passions, pursue your purpose, and live authentically, you are serving not just yourself, but everyone around you. The happiest, most fulfilled people are not those who sacrifice themselves endlessly. They are those who live in such alignment with their truth that their very presence inspires others to rise. That is the paradox. The highest form of selfishness ends up being the greatest gift to humanity. But let's take this further. The highest form of selfishness is also about silence. It's about saying, I will not let noise from the outside drown out the whispers of my soul. It's about choosing peace over chaos, simplicity over complication, inner harmony over outer approval. This is why solitude feels selfish to some, because it's you choosing to step away from the constant demands of the world and into the sanctuary of your own being. Yet it is in that stillness where you find clarity, healing, and direction. Another layer of this selfishness is self-love. Not the shallow kind where you just repeat affirmations in the mirror, but the deep, radical kind where you truly accept yourself. To look at your flaws without shame, to forgive your past without punishment, to celebrate your growth without comparison. That is a selfish act, because it requires you to stop chasing validation and to start embracing yourself. But when you love yourself deeply, you stop needing others to complete you, and ironically, you attract healthier love into your life. The highest form of selfishness also manifests in discipline. It is saying, I will not indulge in every fleeting desire because I value the future I am building. It is waking up early when your body wants to sleep, exercising when your mind wants to quit, saving when your heart wants to spend. To outsiders, discipline looks like denial. But in truth, it is the most profound form of self-respect. It is selfishness with a vision. And perhaps the boldest expression of this selfishness is the decision to walk away from toxicity, whether that's toxic people, toxic jobs, or toxic environments. You may feel guilty when you do this because society teaches you that loyalty means staying no matter how much you suffer. But true loyalty begins with yourself. Walking away is not abandonment, it is alignment. And when you choose alignment, you not only protect your soul, you inspire others to do the same. The highest form of selfishness is also refusing to live in fear. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of rejection. When you live for fear, you are living for others. But when you live for truth, you are living for yourself. And when you live for yourself, ironically, you live more fully for others too. Because a fearless soul becomes a light that others are drawn to. So, if selfishness in its lower form is greed, indulgence, and arrogance, then the highest form is self-awareness, self-love, and self-mastery. It is a selfishness that heals instead of harms, creates instead of consumes, and uplifts instead of destroys. It's not about taking more from the world. It's about giving the best of yourself to the world, because you had the courage to choose yourself first. My message to you is simple. Don't let anyone guilt you into betraying yourself. Don't let the word selfish scare you into living small. Embrace the highest form of selfishness, the one that makes you whole, the one that makes you free, the one that makes you powerful. Because when you choose yourself, you are not abandoning others, you are teaching them how to choose themselves too. In the end, the highest form of selfishness is not about me versus you, it's about me becoming the truest version of me, so that I can bring the truest version of me into every relationship, every dream, and every act of love. And that, my friends, is not selfishness, it's the greatest gift you could ever give the world. The highest form of selfishness is choosing yourself without apology. Too often people live their lives carrying the burden of pleasing others, adjusting themselves like clay to fit the molds others create. But the day you decide to stop shrinking and start standing in your truth, you step into freedom. Choosing yourself is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is the recognition that your life is not a mess rehearsal. It is the real stage where your soul must shine. You were not born to be everyone's caretaker at the cost of your own light. When you say yes to yourself, you may lose some people, but you will never lose yourself again. And that is priceless. You will notice the guilt in the beginning because society has trained you to believe that prioritizing yourself is selfish in the worst sense. But watch closely when you fill your own cup. Your energy overflows naturally into the lives of others. By standing tall in your truth, you unconsciously give others permission to stand in theirs. Choosing yourself then becomes the seed of collective courage. And in that moment, selfishness becomes sacred. It is filling your own cup first so you can truly pour into others. Imagine trying to quench someone's thirst with an empty glass. No matter how much they beg, nothing comes out. That's exactly how it feels when you constantly give while neglecting yourself. You end up drained, resentful, and burned out. Filling your own cup means nourishing your body, mind, and spirit. It means resting when you are tired, dreaming without fear, and growing without apology. Self-care is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Only when you are whole can you give wholly. People will sense the difference between forced giving and giving from abundance. The first feels heavy, the second feels light. By filling your own cup, you create a reservoir of joy and energy that naturally spills over into every interaction. You love deeper, serve better, and uplift stronger. True generosity begins with the generosity you extend to yourself first. Saying no when your soul needs rest is an act of true strength. The world glorifies busyness as if exhaustion is a badge of honor. But real power comes from knowing your limits and honoring them. Saying no does not make you weak, it makes you wise. It means you value your health, your time, and your inner peace more than temporary approval. The person who can say no confidently is not selfish. They are self-aware. Rest is not laziness, it is the foundation of productivity. A tired soul cannot create, cannot love, cannot inspire. Yet, When you rest unapologetically, you return stronger, clearer, and more alive. Those who constantly chase external validation will not understand your no at first, but eventually they will respect it. Each no you speak is a yes to yourself, a yes to your energy, and a yes to your future. Strength is not in constant giving, it is in balanced living. Boundaries are not walls, they are gates that protect your peace. Many fear boundaries because they believe it means shutting others out. But boundaries are the most profound expression of love for yourself and for others. A gate has the power to open and close. You decide what enters and what leaves. Without boundaries, life becomes chaotic. With them, you cultivate harmony. Saying, this is what I allow and this is what I don't, is not cruelty, it is clarity. People may push against your gates at first, testing how firm they are. But when you remain consistent, they begin to respect you more. Boundaries also protect you from resentment. They prevent you from giving beyond your capacity, from being used, and from losing yourself in the process of pleasing. True peace is not possible without them. Boundaries are a declaration to the world that your soul is sacred, and only what nourishes you is welcome. Living authentically is the purest gift you can give the world. Most people live as actors, wearing masks that hide their true selves. They conform, they perform, and they lose the essence of who they are. But authenticity is magnetic. When you live in alignment with your truth, people feel it. They are drawn not to your perfection, but to your honesty. Living authentically may cost you relationships, jobs, or approval, but it will give you back your soul. It is better to be hated for who you are than loved for who you are not. Authenticity lights a fire within you that cannot be extinguished by criticism. It inspires others to drop their mask too. Every time you dare to live your truth, you raise the standard of what is possible for humanity. The world doesn't need another imitation, it needs your originality. And the moment you choose authenticity over approval, you step into your highest power. Self-love is not vanity, it is the foundation of inner freedom. Vanity is surface level, it thrives on appearances. But true self-love goes deeper, it is the radical acceptance of your whole being. It is forgiving your past mistakes without judgment. It is celebrating your growth without comparison. Self-love is treating yourself with the same kindness you so easily give to others. Without it, you are always at the mercy of outside opinions. With it, you are unshakable. When you love yourself, rejection doesn't break you, criticism doesn't define you, and failure doesn't destroy you. You realize that your worth is not dependent on achievement or validation. The person who masters self-love is free because they no longer seek permission to exist. Loving yourself fully is one of the bravest acts of all. It is choosing to belong to yourself in a world that constantly tells you that you are not enough. Solitude is selfish only to those afraid of hearing their own truth. We live in an age of constant noise, where silence feels uncomfortable. But solitude is not loneliness, it is the sacred space where your soul meets itself. In solitude, you rediscover your voice, your dreams, your fears, and your power. People may label you selfish for withdrawing, but they do not understand that solitude is where clarity is born. Every great breakthrough begins in silence. It is in solitude that you learn to listen deeply, not to the world, but to your inner being. This kind of selfishness is necessary because without it, you are swallowed by the demands of others. Solitude sharpens your vision, strengthens your spirit, and restores your peace. When you return from it, you give more to the world, not less. Silence is not absence, it is presence in its highest form. Discipline is selfishness with vision, creating tomorrow's freedom. Many view discipline as restriction, but it is the ultimate act of self-respect. When you choose discipline, you are telling yourself that your future matters more than your momentary cravings. It is waking early to build your dreams, saying no to distractions, and staying consistent when motivation fades. Discipline may feel hard in the moment, but it is the most liberating force in the long run. Without discipline, desires control you. With discipline, you control desires. People may call you selfish for choosing your routines, your habits, or your goals over immediate pleasure. But what they don't see is that you are building a life of freedom. Discipline is love in action, love for your future self. And when your future self thrives, your present sacrifices will feel worth it. Walking away from toxicity is loyalty to your own soul. Too many people confuse loyalty with suffering. They stay in relationships, jobs, or environments that poison their spirit just to appear faithful. But real faithfulness begins within. Walking away from toxicity is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is declaring that your peace, your joy, and your energy are not negotiable. Others may shame you for leaving, but deep down, they wish they had the courage to do the same. Toxicity doesn't just hurt, it kills slowly. It drains your light until you forget who you are. But the moment you walk away, you reclaim your power. Walking away is not abandonment, it is alignment. And when you choose alignment, your life begins to flow again. Protecting your soul is the highest loyalty you can ever practice. Fear keeps you living for others. Courage lets you live for yourself. Fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of failure, these invisible chains keep countless people from living authentically. They play small, they stay silent, and they shrink. But courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to act despite it. When you live courageously, you stop asking, what will they think? And start asking, what will I lose if I don't try? Fear wants you to survive. Courage wants you to thrive. Every bold decision you make is a step closer to your truest self. People may call you reckless, but they don't see the strength it takes to break free from the prison of fear. Courage is the selfishness that liberates. When you live for yourself, you become a light for others who are still trapped. Pleasing everyone is a form of self-betrayal. Stop shrinking to fit. Approval is an addictive drug, and too many live their lives chasing it. They say yes when they mean no. They laugh when they want to cry, and they agree when their soul screams otherwise. But every time you do this, you betray yourself. You silence your truth for temporary applause. People-pleasing may win you friends, but it costs you your authenticity. The truth is, no matter how much you bend, someone will still disapprove. Why sacrifice your soul for their fleeting comfort? Choosing to please yourself first is not arrogance, it is integrity. When you stop shrinking, you expand into who you truly are. And when you expand, you attract the people who resonate with your real self. The world does not need a diluted version of you, it needs the full, unapologetic you. Choosing peace over approval is the boldest kind of selfishness. Approval is loud but temporary. Peace is quiet but eternal. Many chase validation, twisting themselves into what others want, but they remain restless. Peace cannot be bought with applause. It comes from knowing you are living in alignment, even if no one claps. People may call you selfish for walking away from their expectations, but what they call selfishness is your salvation. Peace means letting go of the need to explain yourself, to defend yourself, or to prove yourself. It is a declaration that your inner calm matters more than outer noise. When you choose peace, life slows down. You breathe easier, love deeper, and think clearer. The approval you once craved fades because peace becomes enough. A fulfilled self inspires others more than a drained self ever could. Sacrificing yourself endlessly may look noble, but it leaves you empty. And emptiness cannot inspire. Fulfillment, on the other hand, radiates naturally. When you chase your dreams, live authentically, and honor your soul, people feel it. They see your joy, your confidence, your light, and they want to rise too. The irony is that by being selfish enough to pursue your happiness, you give the world more than you ever could through self-neglect. A fulfilled person uplifts rooms without trying, heals hearts without speaking, and gives hope simply by existing. Fulfillment is contagious. It spreads, it inspires, it ignites. Never feel guilty for choosing fulfillment. It is the greatest contribution you can offer. Your true calling is sacred, ignoring it is the real selfish act. Deep within, you know you were made for something greater. But fear, doubt, and pressure often bury this calling under layers of compromise. You tell yourself it's safer to settle, easier to conform. But ignoring your calling is not humility, it is theft. It is stealing from the world the gift only you can bring. The most selfish act is betraying your own destiny because of fear. Your calling is not random. It is the language of your soul. And when you honor it, life aligns. Opportunities flow, passion rises, and impact multiplies. Living your calling is the boldest expression of love for yourself and for the world. To walk away from it is to leave the masterpiece of your life unfinished. The highest selfishness is living fully, so your light awakens others. Life is not meant to be half-lived. Yet too many bury their desires, silence their voices, and dim their light for comfort's sake. But the soul was not created to stay small. Living fully means saying yes to growth, to love, to risk, and to joy. It means being brave enough to expand beyond the expectations of others. Some will call it selfish, but the truth is, your radiance will guide others out of darkness. When you live fully, you give others permission to do the same. Your light is not just for you, it is for everyone who encounters you. To play small is selfish in the worst way, but to live fully is selfishness transformed into service. When your light shines, others awaken. And that, my friends, is the highest form of selfishness.